Hi everyone, it's Phil here from Ashland Leather. I've got a lot of great stuff I want to show you that we're shipping out today. And let's start off here with a very special Tony the Ant. This one was picked out specifically from a customer because he was interested in picking out a particular look on the inside of this wallet. And this one on the outside, this is black shell Cordovan, which is just a really sleek look on the black shells. I really like how the light reflects off of this leather. It's just a really fascinating appearance to me. And on the inside, speaking of fascinating, I just love the random color and the random dye marks that appear on the reverse shell Cordovan. And on the black reverse, you'll notice that it's actually a green shade. And we do get a bit of a range of color in these shades. It does range from more of like a forest green with a little bit of blue in it, all the way down to more of a lighter tan. And on this particular Tony the Ant, this one has a really wide range of colors. The center is about as dark as we ever see the black reverse get, and this card piece on the right is about as light as it gets. Next, I'm really excited to show you this Color 8 marbled shell Cordovan on our John the Fox. And I just love, speaking of random color, like on the reverse shells, we also see a bit of that random color on the marbled shell Cordovan. And the Color 8 marbled that has been coming from Horween Leather Company in the last few months has been pretty similar to this. It's just very, very nice. It's more of a subtle look than some of the marbling we've seen before. It has like a slower contrast. It sort of doesn't dramatically change from dark to light. It sort of slowly melts into, the two colors sort of melt into each other slowly on this, and I really, really like it. So this is a really special Johnny the Fox because we've also paired it with a really remarkable Color 8 reverse interior. And on the Johnny the Foxes, it's difficult for us to cut thin enough pieces of shell on the Johnny the Fox. And the reason that we have to choose thin shells is because there's just so many layers of leather. If we weren't picking thin shells like we have on this one, it would just really make the wallet super thick. So we try to pick naturally thin pieces of shell. We don't like to thin down any of the leather because thinning down the leather reduces the strength of it. So we try to pick just naturally occurring thin pieces of shell Cordovan. And on this John the Fox, we also have a really great wide range of colors. And this is a very good representation of the sort of Color 8 reverse shades that you could expect. We've basically got it all here. There's a little bit of a reddish darker color here, the second card slot up on the left, and then the third one up on the right is about as light as it goes, and this one has basically everything, all the range of color there. And then we also get to see those really incredible random dye marks on the bottom card holders. Up next here, this is one of our most popular wallets right now, and on the outside here, this is a leather called English Tan Dublin, and the Dublin leather is tanned using the same tree bark formulation as is used on the shell Cordovan. So you get a lot of those similar veg characteristics that we see on the shell. We see a lot of that on the Dublin as well. The big difference here on the Dublin is that we get a little bit of a darker surface color, and that's because the Dublin is finished with a hard wax finish on the surface. So you get this really great depth of color that you can see when I flex the leather a little bit. We can displace a little bit of that wax to reveal a little bit of the lighter undertones in the English Tan Dublin. So it's really great depth of color on the English Tan. I like this sort of light tan orangey color very, very much. And on the inside of this, we have a special custom horsehide made just for us by Horween. This is a color called mock, which is a shortened phrase for moccasin. And it's just this really nice light tan shade with a little bit of yellow in it that I think pairs perfectly with the English Tan Dublin. So speaking of English Tan Dublin, this is also English Tan Dublin, but this one is on our Bugs Moran style. It's a little bit more of a minimalist style front pocket wallet. And on this English Tan Dublin, we've got a lot more natural character, and they do tend to range quite significantly. This one, you can see those little bits of striations and just a little bit of extra character in it. And sometimes they're a little bit flatter, a little bit less texture. I like them both, and if you're interested in one or the other, you can just reach out to us. We can send you a photo of whatever we have currently available and just let you pick right from there. Let's take a look at the inside here. A little bit more of that English Tan Dublin. Great character, both left and right here. We've got a lot of Johnny the Foxes today. This one here is in my favorite shell Cordovan color. This is the Amaretto shell Cordovan, and it's very similar to the English tan Dublin in terms of color. Sort of that light tan, little bits of orange in it. And the Amaretto is fascinating to me because it changes color dramatically depending on what angle you look at it. So this angle here, it's a little bit more of like a medium brown, and then when you angle it slightly, it turns a little bit more orangey brown, like a lighter tan shade. And I just find that to be very satisfying to look at. On the inside of this, we also have another color 8 reverse interior, the shell Cordovan interior. Again, with those, they're just specifically thin pieces of leather, so we don't bulk up the thickness of this Johnny the Fox too much. Now here's a special Bugs Moran that has been customized for JCK, and this one is on our intense blue shell Cordovan. And this color, similarly to how the color changes and ranges on the Amaretto shell, we see that same range of color in the intense blue. At certain angles, it's a little darker, a little bit more navy, but it does have these really brilliant aqua tones sort of coming from underneath the leather. So you get this great range of color from an aqua to a navy blue and everything in between. You can hopefully just see it down the spine here. It's a really exceptional blue shade. On the inside, this customer requested the most variation possible on the interior, and this is a intense blue reverse interior. So we get to see a little bit of those blue aqua stains on the reverse side of the shell Cordovan. Now here's another very special Johnny the Fox, and this one is in the raw shell Cordovan. And for many years, I had hoped and dreamed about the raw shell Cordovan. I wanted a piece of shell that would have the most potential to change and the most potential to develop a patina. So what we see on the raw shell Cordovan is that it starts much more dull in luster. You can see here it has a little bit of a sheen, but it's definitely not as bright and shiny as any other piece of shell Cordovan like this color number 4 here. You can really see the level of shine there compared to the raw shell, which is quite dull. And the other thing is the color is as light as it gets on a piece of shell. So what we see once you start to wear this in is the luster starts to develop. We get a nice, bright, shiny look on the surface, but also we see patina develop in terms of color. This changes quite dramatically in color. It gets a little bit more dark and golden brown the more you wear it. And I had worn a Fat Herbie for about a year, and let me show you that. So on the left here, we have that raw shell Cordovan, and this is the Fat Herbie in raw shell that I wore for about a year, and you can really see how much the color has developed. It's a little bit more golden, much darker. It's actually got a little bit of red that's sort of been imparted into the aging of this. So it's a very dramatic patina that we come to expect on the raw shell Cordovan. And here was that color number 4 shell Cordovan Johnny the Fox I brought out a moment ago. This one has been personalized for CEF. And thank you so much, CEF, and everybody else that is helping to support us. I really appreciate it. The color number 4 shell Cordovan is a really beautiful medium brown shade, and it has bits of red in the undertone that I like very, very much. And in fact, I like it so much. This was my favorite shell Cordovan color until the Amaretto shell Cordovan came along a couple years ago. So this is a beautiful shade. In fact, another bit of history here is the color number 4 was the original most popular shell color for footwear. This was the color shell Cordovan that Florsheim was using in the early 1900s on their very popular long wing shoes. And they were called gunboats back then. So the color number 4 is truly a classic shell color. And it seems like color number 8 has replaced it as the more popular color these days, but color number 4 is just absolutely beautiful. And I absolutely had to show you this one. This is a really special Johnny the Fox as well. This one is all reverse color 8, so we get to see that Horween ink stamp just prominently featured on the back here. We try to cut those in to visible portions of the wall when we can. On the inside, we also have all reverse. So this one is reverse on the inside and out. We don't make a lot of these, and they're very, very cool. What's interesting about the reverse shell Cordovan is how well this ages. It actually ages pretty similarly to how the raw shell Cordovan changes. It darkens quite significantly over time, but also the luster changes in a very dramatic way. It gets much more bright and much more shiny than it starts off here. It's a little bit dull, has a slight sheen to it. And on the inside, more of that color 8 reverse. And I really like when we get to see these random dye stains. So on the bottom left there, those are all random from the tannery, and we try to cut those into interesting spots on the wallet like we've done on this John of the Fox. And it's just mesmerizing for me to look at the randomness of it and how interesting it looks. And here's the last wallet for today. This is also all reverse shell Cordovan, but this one is black reverse. So if you take a peek at the bill slot here, you can see on the inside that this is all black shell Cordovan. The unintended reverse side of that black shell Cordovan is this greenish color. And this particular one is awesome. I really like the green shade on the back of this John of the Fox. Really, really cool, and featuring that ink stamp just about perfectly centered. And on the inside, also blows me away. I love seeing this wide range of colors on the black reverse. So on the left here, we get to see a little bit about as dark as it goes. A little bit more like that bluish forest green, more of like an army green on the left. And on the right here, this is about as light as we see the black reverse. These two shades here, it's a little bit more greenish tan. This one's a little bit lighter as well. And I love seeing just all the randomness of the reverse shell Cordovan. And we had a few people pick up some Valet trays over the weekend. This up here first is a color number 8 Chrome Excel Valet tray. And the Chrome Excel is this leather that is on the bottom of the Valet tray. It's very much a classic leather at this point, and it's become known as a classic pull-up leather. And that's because when you flex and sort of pinch the leather, you get to reveal a little bit of those undertones, similarly to how we see the undertones develop on the Dublin leather. But the big difference here is we're not displacing a surface wax like we are on the Dublin. We're actually mobilizing the oils that have been tanned into this leather. And that's how this has become to have been known as a pull-up effect. And on the Valet trays and Chrome Excel, we actually finish the unintended side, the flesh side of the leather, with a hard resin to fill in those fibers a little bit more. And then we add a stain to really seal it off. So this is a great Valet tray. I use these at home all the time, and we use them in our workshop. And here's one more Valet tray for you. This is also in color number 8. However, this one is in the shell Cordovan leather, which we've all come to know and love. We like to cut these with the ink stamp in the center whenever we can. And this one, just really great, prominent, bold ink stamp in the center. And I wanted to give you one last update on my natural Lancaster Fat Herbie. This is the one I've been wearing, and we've hit a milestone. It's now been 100 days. In fact, 100 days would have been this Saturday, so it's really 102 days. But I wanted to sort of hit that milestone with you here on camera, give you an update on what 100 days of this new natural Lancaster looks like. The biggest difference that I've seen happen with this Lancaster leather over 100 days is the luster change. The patina, in terms of luster, has changed a significant amount. It sort of has this wet, glassy look now that is very satisfying, but the color has not changed like I was expecting it to change. I was expecting it to change more similarly to how the raw shell Cordovan changes, like this raw shell Herbie here. It has not darkened very much at all. The only places that I've seen the color change are from the denim of my pants wearing off onto the spine and the corners of this Fat Herbie. So I've been really enjoying this. I think many people have picked up either a Fat Herbie like this one or a John of the Fox in the natural Lancaster. So anybody out there that's been wearing this, I'm totally curious to see what your experience has been like. So thanks again for checking out all the great stuff that is shipping out today. There's a couple other things over on the table that we're also shipping out. If you guys have any questions about anything, if you want to let me know what your favorite leather of today was, definitely let me know. Maybe it was this English Hand Dublin that I love. But until next time, hope you guys have a good one, and take care.